Thanks a lot for coming in.
Good morning, happy to be here.
Something about this community appeals to you?
This is a wonderful place to live.
For Kelowna Now, this is Kent Mulgat. And we're joined by loyal Wooldridge. So we talked to you right after you were elected. Here you are again, but you've had a taste of it.
A little bit, I was sworn in on the 5th of November, so what was that, 17 days ago?
Yes, and you've had a meeting, right?
Numerous, yeah.
So it's always been my impression that it seems like by the time you get to the regular public council meeting, that you guys have already talked it all over and it's almost a formality. Is there any truth to that?
Not at all, actually, because being new coming into this, I'm reading every application for the first time. And I get that information the same time as the public does, for the most part. Like today, our packages were just released about an hour ago, which is the same when they were released to the public. So I actually haven't even had a chance to open that up yet, so some media probably have. Right. So although it may look like that, we may have an idea of what's coming down the pipe in terms of applications, but the specifics of it, that's the purpose of an open meeting, is so that it's discussed in public, so that everyone can see that, and we do follow that process. So
now that you're living this, first time you got to the public council meeting, did it all go as you had imagined, or what surprises were there? What was different than what you...
To be honest, I sat through so many meetings leading up to this to prepare myself, because I knew that a lot of the conversations would be fairly dry. Not all of them would be front page headline news. So the content of the meetings isn't really surprising to me. It's more managing the schedule, managing my business, and making sure everything else is balanced. That's probably the one surprise that I've had. And I know that some past councillors have said that they were surprised when they come onto council thinking that they're going to get that one issue through that they're really passionate about. But I really knew that I was one of 9 votes. And so really to have anything passed, we've got to convince four other colleagues that your idea is phenomenal in order to move it forward. So
yeah, that was one thing that Ryan Don said to me, is that when he first got elected to council, he felt that, all of the key things that his supporters, the people that wanted him elected, wanted from him, he was going to get in there and be their savior. And then, it doesn't take long to dawn on you that, no, you're a 9th of the decision.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, going through the election process, going through the campaign trail is really important to say, these are my platform points that are important to me. I can't promise them because they might be only important to me. And if I don't convince my other colleagues that they're equally as important to the city, they're not going to move forward.
So on that count, everyone else in the room, they've all been there before, all these re-electees. And so how do you feel about whether or not you're able to sort of knit yourself in with the group and start, collaborating?
Well, it's actually been a great benefit because all my orientation has basically been one-to-one with city staff to understand the city. So, I'm sitting down face-to-face with our city clerk, Stephen Fleming, or our city manager, Doug Gilchrist, and hashing that out. So I feel really privileged to do that. And my council colleagues are actually really respectful. They keep slowing it down and going, hold on here, let's go a little bit deeper so that Loyal has a better understanding or can go a little bit deeper. So I feel like I'm the little brother at the table sometimes, but they've been really supportive.
Are there certain areas where you think that you are going to be perhaps trying to change minds? I'm sure you don't go in there and say, listen, mister, I'm going to be changing your mind on this, that, and the other thing. But are there some things that you think you're going to be saying, hey guys, we need to do this differently, and here's what I think?
Absolutely. One thing that came out of the election that I thought was really interesting was having different generations or demographics on council brings a different perspective. So obviously coming from more the millennial side of things, I view certain issues in a different light. Specifically around social enterprise and balancing business and social causes. So that's where I'm probably going to be coming from a lot through my council term, is how do we create a balance in the city? I know that we're faced with a lot of challenges with infrastructure and infrastructure deficits, but how do we work through that in a different way so that we can move the city forward sustainably?
Because you are younger than the next youngest councillor by a margin.
By a margin, yeah, significantly so.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest one.
So what in your mind does council need to be focused on right now? What's the next sort of decision-making process that you think is pivotal?
So we're setting our priorities through January and February, and we do that together collectively as a group. So we've compiled everything we've heard from the trail along with our platform so that we can go in and really advocate for the points that we've heard on the campaign trail so that those priorities line up where we're going for the next 4 years.
Right.
For me, homelessness and safety will be my number one concern. I think I share that with most of the people in Kelowna as well as my council colleagues. So that will probably be one of the number one things that we can expect. And then aside from that is still looking at housing, transportation, those motherhood issues, but diving a little bit deeper into them.
Right. So after an election, it truly is sort of a new beginning moment where, and not just a continuation of the agenda that preceded it?
Absolutely. It's sitting down and going, okay, what went really well in the last term? What didn't go really well? And what has changed since then?
And what have you heard from the voters?
From the voters, I think everyone, although there was some negativity on the trail, the results show that I think the city is moving forward in a decent way. We can tell that by all the incumbents basically being re-elected. So I think that the citizens do want to see the work continue. A lot of the work that's been done has been a lot of planning and a lot of strategy. So people want to see that implemented now. And so that's probably going to be our biggest challenge this term because some of those decisions are going to be really challenging and some of them will be unpopular. But we have to make them in order to move the city forward.
Right. And already I see some potential conflict over the Agassiz Road housing project, the NIMBY factor. Maybe they're not going to like to be categorized that way, but it is in the backyard of some people that are pretty vocally against it.
Yeah.
How do you see that playing out?
I think that the meetings could potentially go a little bit negative. We've seen that happen in the past. This is a challenge that we share as a community and we bear the burden as a community and as a nation. This isn't just specific to Kelowna. So wherever we place supportive housing sites, we're going to have pushback from the community. But this has not come before council yet. I believe it will be on Monday. So I just saw that in our agenda package. But we have to move the city forward. This has to go through the democratic process and I'm excited to see how that turns out.
It gets awkward, before you have a public hearing. You don't want to give the impression that you've made up your mind.
Exactly.
But at the same time, I think you've made it pretty clear that you want to see us moving forward with housing projects for these people.
We need to see housing projects move forward. Each application is considered differently. And so I don't like to comment one way or another on an application until it's come forward to us because everything has to be considered with an open mind. So we can't walk into those chambers with a closed mind with our decisions already made. And so that's probably why we haven't seen many of our councillors out at the public engagement sessions because we want to make sure that we're considering it on an equal playing field.
And there's going to be a few over the next little while like this as well.
Absolutely.
So we'll see how it goes. And thanks for coming in and updating us.
Thanks, Ken.
Loyal Wooldridge.
Good to see you.
The newest face on City Council, and thank you for watching Kelowna Now.